Howdy, folks. I'm Uncle Bill.
And I'm the creepy Kentuckian, if you will, and we've got another banger, Uncle Bill. I'm trying to get hit with the lingo.
Is that still the lingo?
Yeet.
Yeah. I thought we got Skibbity Riz. I think that's the new thing that's going around.
We're talking this movie is straight up bussing tonight. We're talking about here because this is an oldie but a goodie, boys. For sure.
1955 to be exact. Yeah.
Yeah, our boy Wayne, aka Carter Dention, requested this one. And it's a very interesting one to request because I had never seen the movie up until this review. I'd heard about it. A lot of people had, been like, "Hey, you guys gotta check this out." It's on a lot of, the Criterion fans must watch lists. Must purchase list from 1955, like you said. Charles Lofton, Night of the Hunter.
Night of the Hunter is only looking for your life, which is really true in this movie. Yeah, a film that I'd always heard about. It shows up on like countless 100 greatest movies of all time lists and things like that. Like it also shows up on like really underrated movie lists as well. Robert Mitchum as the star, Shelley Winters, who it's so weird to see Shelley Winters at this time frame.
When she's young.
Because Shelley Winters would go on. She was in like the Poseidon Adventure and shit like that. And she
Roseanne.
became like, I don't know how to say this, larger than life character.
Who Slew Annie Rue? Wasn't she in that?
Yeah,
I think so. I think it was her. She's, I guess, a lot of movies around this time period, the 50s and 60s and 70s. And this, for a lot of these actors, Robert Mitchum, legendary actor as well, and all of these actors, if you look on IMDb, this is in their top 3 or 4 movies that they're known for. So I was very excited to check this out. I was kind of curious if it would live up to the hype that I've got in my mind for it. And man, I think it did. I'm excited to talk about this sort of thing because I've said before, movies from this time period and TV shows, from the 50s and 60s, it takes me back there if only for a day. Like I grew up not in this time frame at all, but reruns were huge in the late 80s, early 90s, Nick at Night, stuff like that. So watching some of these old TV shows and stuff like Lassie and Dennis the Menace, there's tons more, like My Three Sons, Mr. Ed, The Honeymooners.
My Three Sons of Bitches.
My Three Sons of Bitches.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
And then like watching movies like this now though, and it's crazy that this sort of subject was tackled in 1955, that they went that far in 1955, considering this was the Leave It to Beaver generation, really, right?
Yeah, this is a crazy movie to come out this time period, man. Like, and I just want to say, like, from after watching this and watching several other movies, like, The Uninvited and things like that we watched, there was a certain level of like craftsmanship that went into movies of this time period that is just completely missing from films today. Like the idea of them having to design a lot of these shots and make them like completely practically is crazy to me. And it just makes it so much better than just using digital effects. Like there's several scenes in this movie where they have, I forget what the name of the shot is called, but it's almost like a counterbalance to have like somebody in the front of the shot and then stuff's happening in the back,
like in the shadows or whatever.
In the shadow. Yeah. And it's just so much more effective when they do shit like that and you can tell it's like set up actually. There's a shot too of like him coming into town on like a horse that's in shadows. And the way that they did that is hilarious, but it's also practical too. Like it's the way they offset the aspect ratio, the size ratio of the shot.
I think they had
It
a
just
dwarf.
they did, yeah. Which it looks amazing though. So yeah, I just want to say that like I feel like films were much better crafted, and there's a
Yeah.
lot more thought that went into them at this
It was
time.
like anything else back then, man. Cars were better crafted. That's why you still see classic automobiles from the 50s and 60s that still run and still good. Appliances, furniture, those old floor model TVs that I've never heard of one of those messing up ever.
Yeah,
Things were just made better back then, and movies were no exception.
but
But
the
not Night of the Hunter. You want to talk about the movie
yeah.
though?
So the overall story of the movie is this guy, this father by the name of Ben Harper. That's his character's name. He's played by Peter Graves. When I saw him, I knew immediately who it was. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like it's like a much younger version. The only real character that I've seen Peter Graves play from my generation, who's much older, was he's the captain in Airplane.
Yeah.
So he's the one that's like, yeah, you like gladiator movies, like that whole classic scene. That's him. But in this, he looks like he's so much younger. It's like almost unrecognizable. But he
Mhm.
plays this guy who is he's a father of son and a daughter. He goes and robs a bank, and in the process of robbing the bank, he gets $10,000, but he ends up killing two people. And before he's captured, he gives the $10,000 to his son, who looks like he's about what, 6, 7, something like that. At
Well,
that,
the
I don't know.
daughter looks younger. I would
Yeah.
say the son maybe 10, 11, the daughter 6 or 7.
Okay. So he like gives them this money, and he's like, hide this and never ever tell anybody like where it's at. Like, don't tell your mother, don't tell anybody. And this is probably the last time I see you, whatever. And then he gets arrested by the police.
Yeah,
He's tried, convicted, and hanged. And
fairly quickly.
fairly quickly, while he's in jail awaiting his execution, he meets this guy who is Robert Mitchum, who becomes like the main
The preacher.
and yeah, the preacher who becomes the main antagonist of the story. And he finds out that he's got this $10,000 hidden somewhere. And after he leaves, after he gets out of the prison, it's his mission really to find this money. He says it's for like a church to start a new church, but you get the feeling with this guy that like
He's a
none of the
crook.
shit
Yeah,
that he says. Yeah,
he's a bad guy for sure. And dude, like, let me tell you something, and we'll get back into the movie. Professional wrestlers should watch his character, and
yeah,
I think some of them did. I think Jake the Snake Roberts is one, and definitely Bray Wyatt. The tattoos, man.
yeah. Love and hate.
Um,
That became like a whole thing, like for bikers and stuff like that to
but
do that.
probably one of the most charismatic characters in a movie is his character in this. And I don't know of anybody that could make like a church hymn song creepy as hell,
Yeah.
because that's kind of what he did when he came around. He was, you know, singing
Well,
"Gather at the River" or whatever.
there's something about the idea of like, and this has totally happened too, like multiple times throughout, the last 20 or 30 years. There's something about the idea of a guy who's supposed to be like the ultimate guy you're supposed to be able to trust, right? A preacher who secretly is just the biggest evil con man, just psychopath, and is just the most unpredictable guy in the whole movie.
Mhm.
But he acts like he's got everybody fooled around him. Like all the people in the town and stuff like that, they all believe that he's just like the greatest because he's this preacher. There's something about that idea that's like terrifying.
Brainwashes
And
people.
yeah, and that like nobody has any idea, and they all believe like everything that he says, and the kids are in grave danger, but nobody like has any clue.
Yeah.
Not in the beginning.
But the mother, the widow,
Yeah.
and the two kids, Yeah, they all like I don't remember. I think he just wanders into town, and the they end up getting married. He and Shelley Winter's character,
Pretty quick too, like in a day.
right?
It's like
Yeah, it
right
didn't
when he
last
meets
very
her.
long. And his sole purpose is to get this money and get out of there. And then he starts getting more and more frustrated because he knows the money is hidden somewhere. And then, he doesn't know if the kid, who knows for
Yeah,
sure, right? And
yeah.
then he finds out that the kids are the ones that know, and it just goes kind of off the deep end there. And the stuff that he does to the kids, like, I don't think you could get away with that now in a movie. I don't think they could pull a switchblade on a little girl.
No, and the whole like his whole presence in the movie is really difficult for me to get through this film, to be honest, because like that's how good of an actor that he is, that he was able to like you genuinely feel uncomfortable with him being around kids. And there's like an undertone that he could do anything to them at any time. That's just kind of like the type of person that he is. And a couple of different things happen in the film with other characters where I'm like, Jesus Christ. But ultimately, the kids end up on the run. And it's during the Great Depression, by the way. I guess we should bring
Yeah.
that up too. So, like, there's no food or anything like that. They're having to go through all these different, like, what would you call them? Like, food pant, whatever that
I
would
don't
have
know,
been back
whatever they
then.
called them back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to
They
get food and
feed them
survive.
poor kids raw taters.
Yeah. They're like, well, I only got one tater for you. And you're like,
How
Jesus.
in the fuck could you eat a raw tater?
Buddy, I'd say if you're that hungry, you'd eat anything. Eat
Damn
the
raw tater though,
asshole out
man.
of a
That
dog.
I don't know if that'd be very good.
But, they end up at this other, like, woman's house who is basically taking in all these kids. And she is like I don't know what you call her. She's the
House mother maybe or
house
something.
mother. Yeah.
Kind of
And
an orphanage, but before
it is kind of
orphanages.
that. It's just some woman that has a farm that takes in like, abandoned kids, basically.
Yeah. And, it kind of goes from there, leads to the ultimate showdown. He finds them.
It's like a wrestling pay-per-view or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimate
Without giving
showdown.
any more of it away if nobody's seen it. But yeah, man, I mean, this one too, like, this is very much similar to like a Western as well, kind of. It's not the Western atmosphere, but the same kind of story as that.
Yeah, it is. And there's one scene in this movie. Well, there's a bunch of scenes in this movie that are memorable, but one scene in particular where I was like, that's a great fucking shot. And it doesn't make a lick of sense, the shot, but like it's a great shot. And it gives away something really important that happens in the film. So I don't want to say like what it is exactly because it kind of spoils a big part of the film. But like there's one in particular shot I was gonna say it's an underwater shot that's like killer
Oh, yeah.
uh in this film. And there's
I'm
a bunch
still
of
not sure how they did that, actually. I'm curious. Like, I'll need to look that
yeah.
up without giving any of it away. But yeah, lots of great background shots, too. The preacher riding the horse, singing the gospel hymn, looking for the kids. Them giving the impression that the preacher doesn't sleep. He's always looking for those
Yeah.
kids. And it is like almost, I think that said on the back of the Blu-ray, grim fairy tale. And maybe one of the earlier examples of that on film. And just, I mean, everybody puts this movie over hardcore. So I guess we'll do the same. It's a great
Yeah.
movie, all time classic. I can definitely understand why, it's such a highly regarded film, and it always will be.
It's kind of timeless in a way because it deals with things that like, it doesn't really date itself other than to say that it was during the depression. It deals with themes that are like constantly like still going on, which
Mhm.
eh, it's crazy to me, and I cannot state this enough, like how good Robert Mitchum is in that role. Like it doesn't seem like he's acting. It seems like he is completely that guy. and it's um so would be uncomfortable to watch him around the kids because like you just get the idea that like he doesn't care like
The
to kill them or like anybody.
Right. He's all about himself, that money. He wants it by any means.
Yeah.
And, he's like Farouk Assad. It was awesome to actually watch just a great fucking movie that I didn't have to read. It was already in English.
That's true.
Night of the Hunter. Interesting that Charles Lofton, this was his only first and last directorial credit. How insane is that?
I looked up, he died like not too long after this movie was made. Really, that probably has something to do with it.
Okay.
I wonder if this movie was popular at that time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. It's a 93-minute movie too. Not a very long film. And this edition here too, I think somebody else, I think maybe Kano did a 4K of it. This is the Criterion Blu-ray of it. That looks freaking amazing, man. I would say it does look pretty killer in 4K as well, but I would have no need to upgrade. This thing looks great. Tons of special features and everything too.
Well, here, I mean, I just looked on IMDb, and if you take whatever they say is, the truth, and it had a budget of around $800,000. The gross worldwide was $5,000, according to IMDb. So that would make it a huge flop, like if that's true.
I did see something where, what was this one of the movies that caused the rating system to come along or something?
I'd
like that?
I'd about have to say it would have to be, man, because it's really fucking just some of the stuff that happens in it. You're just like, how did they do this at that time? And if, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a rating on it or anything. So, but yeah, this was 1955. There's some crazy shit in this, though, for that time period. Like we're saying, this was bubblegum, soda pop, Leave It to Beaver, All American sort of thing. And this is total opposite of that. But Night of the Hunter, great, great movie. One of the best performances on film. Robert Mitchum was known as one of the best actors ever, right? And this is known as one of his best roles. So that should tell you something. I'd like to tell people, thumbs up the video, Uncle Bill.
Would you?
Yes. Thumbs it up with violence and fury and just love everything about it.
You hit the heart button, then you hit the ass button, then you hit the go fuck yourself button. Follow that up with the I don't give a shit button.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last South on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Special thanks goes out to our supporters on Patreon. Do you know what kind of stuff you can get on Patreon, Uncle Bill, starting at only $1 a month?
What's that?
Access to every Dead Pit show since 2005. We got almost 200 fan commentaries that we've done over the decades.
We have a literal jukebox full of songs and thousands of reviews. I don't even know how many shows are up on there now that we've done over the years.
Hundreds of thousands.
You need to figure this out now and subscribe to us on Patreon and YouTube and Instagram and help us to 1 million. The road to 1 million subscribers starts today.
So deadpitonpatreon.com. Join today. Tiers start at only $1, but I'd recommend at least the $10 tier.
You can do 50. The stock market's crashing around us, folks, but send us money.